Really, the biggest thing that I would say would reduce customer returns, or the biggest piece of advice that I can give, is make customers provide a VIN.
You're now entering the Pit Stop Podcast with OEM Interactive, helping you sell more parts and accessories online in 10 minutes or less.
You rolling? Yeah. Ashley, good to see you again.
Excellent to be here.
Love having you on the Pit Stop. Ashley, one of the I wanted to talk to you about returns and customer returns, and communicating what we can do, what can we effectively do to communicate to our partners, how to reduce returns.
Absolutely.
And
important topic.
Yeah, we're seeing it quite a bit with, not quite a bit. We have some customers here and there that 50% or 40% or 30% of their orders are, they're getting returns. Mm-hmm. And what can we do to help reduce the amount of returns that that somebody is getting?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a really important topic, because customer returns can be a big drain on your staff's time, mm-hmm. on your overall profit margins. And every customer likes to get the right part the first time and have that golden customer experience. Yeah. So really, the biggest thing that I would say would reduce customer returns, or the biggest piece of advice that I can give, is make customers provide a VIN. Mm-hmm. in order to qualify to return the part. This actually gives your internal parts staff the ability, when an order comes through, they can see the year, make, and model that's selected, they see the VIN, and what they can do is they can double check that order. That's taking that initiative mm-hmm. to double check for the customer.
Now, what if they don't provide that VIN?
If they don't provide the VIN, you can have something written into your return policy where either maybe you don't accept returns for parts that didn't provide VIN, or maybe you just increase the amount of restocking fee. Mm-hmm. Don't refund shipping. These kinds of tactics.
And we've also talked about being actively engaged.
Yeah,
right?
If you know a part is commonly mistakenly ordered, or there are issues with this specific part being returned in the past, take some initiative, reach out to the customer by phone or email, form a relationship, build trust, build that bond, and ask them the right questions so that you're getting them the right part.
Get on the phone.
Absolutely.
You didn't get that VIN number, get on the phone,
right.
Call them, ask them for it,
right.
And say, hey, I just want to make sure that we're delivering the right product to you, right. In a timely manner, so that we can potentially cut back and cut down on those issues. Mm-hmm. So I think that's a really good, really great insight on what they can do is with that providing the VIN number there. Mm-hmm. And on that, how does customer contact come into play when it comes to returns? What is that? How is that process? And
it's tremendously important.
Yeah,
I think you need to make sure that your contact information is readily available on the website. Mm-hmm. We've talked about this before. Not hiding your phone number, possibly even having a chat feature, mm-hmm. that will allow someone to ask questions before they ever place the order. Something like 22% of products are most likely to be returned to for appearing differently when mm-hmm. they arrive. So, taking some initiative and taking product images rather than having a schemata. It's very difficult to tell what a part looks like from a schemata. And of course, these are OEM, parts primarily we're dealing with. But, yep. That's something to think about. If your shipping department's shipping it out anyway, take a quick image, load it to the site. It's very simple to do. It will reduce overall returns because the customer knows exactly what they're looking at.
Actually, one of those things that you talked about was, that communication with being readily accessible to the customer when they do want to return something, mm-hmm. or they're thinking about returning something. With something that we've talked about in the mm-hmm. past is, throwing your business card in there mm-hmm. in the box whenever you ship something out,
right?
So that they know who to call,
right?
They know who they need to speak with. and maybe assign and designate a person that's going to be handling just those return questions.
Absolutely.
Designate, employee A as the return guy because they know how to handle all these things. And put their card in the package, in the box going out. So I think that's something that they can't be overlooked.
Right.
As well.
Well, and that brings up, you got to ask yourself the question, are the returns coming in at all your fault? Are you properly training your staff?
Yeah.
Making sure that your staff understands how to go through the ordering process so that it's best for the customer, so they get that right part the first time, and we don't have to go through a return later on.
Yeah, that's a really good point with training. And what are you doing to train your employees? And each day try to make them 1% better.
Absolutely.
And how can you train this person, or how can you educate this person to be 1% better every day? And because the more time that you're putting into them, the better that they get, the better the department's going to get, and ultimately the bigger the brand is going to get. Right. So it's something that's often overlooked, and they just expect.
Having those procedures makes it easier to cross train.
Yeah,
as well.
Absolutely. What's something what should these parts managers be looking at from a policy standpoint, and what initiatives from a policy standpoint can help reduce returns? Great
question. Yeah. It's really, really important to have a comprehensive and easy to understand return policy page. You don't want to overcomplicate it, but at the same time, you do want to cover all your bases and make sure that from a dealership standpoint, you're protected.
Yep.
And you're not just, accepting everything back and letting profit, leave the dealership.
Yeah.
Some of the things you can do, make sure you include the VIN request, process and procedure for the orders. So if you're going to say a customer needs to provide a VIN in order to qualify for a return, or in order to qualify for a no restocking fee return, you need to put that in your policy. Including restocking fees will also help prevent returns, because nobody wants to order something and then send it back and end up, paying a fee for nothing.
Yeah.
Also, not refunding shipping. If you shipped it out and your dealership paid that fee to get it there, and it's not something on your end, you did the VIN check and everything was done properly, but this part cost you $20 to ship there. Now it's going to cost $20 to ship back. You're out $40. Yep. If you're not doing a restocking fee on top of that, that's a hefty loss for a parts department to absorb. So
yeah, plus the losses that that they're
staff
taking
time.
on the staff time,
right?
The boxes, the
right.
tape, and all these things. They may seem like very
the marketing dollars that went behind putting that part
the marketing dollars
online. Yeah.
And how much did it cost for you to acquire that customer? Right. And then that all goes out the door.
Exactly.
And so it's really, really important that your staff, your department has a very formalized structure and process
definitely
on handling these returns.
Put that online, and then when they're on the phone with a customer, it's not like they have to be the bad guy. They're telling the customer and pointing them in reference to, hey, if you read our return policy page, here's where it's stated. They can clearly go to it. They can reference it. And everyone's on the same page that way.
Yep. Well, Ashley, thank you once again for popping in.
Always a pleasure.
Talking about customer, reducing customer returns.
Right.
Once again, my final thought here on this is being, actively engaged and not being an order taker, right? We've said this, 1,000 times, and we're going to say it 1,000 times more. Actively engaged, not being an order taker. If somebody doesn't have the VIN in the order, call them up.
Yep.
And say, hey, what is it that I want to know exactly what you're looking for here.
Take that extra step.
Take that extra step, that 2-minute phone call.
Yep.
5-minute phone call can save you hundreds, thousands of dollars a month or tens of thousands of dollars a year in profitability.
Absolutely.
Right. So
Yeah.
be actively engaged. Don't just let it go and cross your fingers and be that order taker and shipping it off the line there. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure. See you next time on Pit Stop.